Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good morning. Usually the light thing works. Now it worked. From darkness to light. Happy Mother's Day. Yes. I was just reading this morning, Swami Vivekananda says, it's there in the collection called in the Inspired Talks. So right here in upstate New York, in the Thousand Island Park, Swami Vivekananda in 1895, one day he said, in the present age, God should be worshipped as mother. And thus will come great purity and tremendous energy. And he says, here in America, he's talking about America, and great work will be done. Now, God has been worshipped as mother from the most ancient times. In fact, conceivably, the first gendered idea of God was God as mother. If you go to the school students in India, history students, we would see in our history book the most ancient figurines of the mother goddess, which were worshipped in the Saraswati Valley civilization 5,000 years ago at least. So God as mother is very well known in India and in many ancient civilizations. But then Swami Vivekananda says, in the present age. Now what that means we can only conjecture, but it is true. For Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda's guru, Sri Ramakrishna, God was mother. So, even the great mystic, Christian theologian and mystic, Meister Eckhart, about 800 years ago, he says, I wonder what, remember, God as Father always, as in the Christian worldview. Then he writes, I wonder what God does all day long. And he says, I know. He, so it's a he. He lies on this great maternity bed giving birth all day long. That shows the basic idea of God in all theistic religions, that God is the creator of the universe. Except that the image doesn't work quite as well, So God is mother, and especially in this day and age. And Sri Ramakrishna gave great emphasis to the worship of God as mother. For him, God was Kali, and the mother goddess in many, many forms and names in India, Durga, Devi, in many forms. God is worshipped as mother in India. And then he goes on to say something interesting, Swami Vivekananda, even more interesting. First of all, it's interesting that this age we have to worship God as mother, here in America. And then he goes on to say, in the ancient times, Vedanta was taught by individuals like Shankara and others, but not by the masses. Now we must have Vedanta accepted and lived by the masses, lived, a kind of practical living Vedanta for large numbers of people. And then he adds at the end, and this will be done by women. This will be done by women. So this is our Ask Swami session, where so many questions which pour in from all across the world, we try to contemplate on some of these questions and give answers, observations, discussions. The way we do it is, our intrepid team of volunteers, they work to narrow down those questions, select some of those questions and present it to me. So today the questions will be read out by Dr. Sharma, Dr. Cordelia Sharma. And we will alternate these questions from the internet audience with questions from the live audience here. So after one or two questions from Dr. Sharma, I will ask you to raise your hands and ask one of you to come forward. You come here to the front and tell us your name and ask a brief, pointed question. All right. Cordelia, what do you have for us?
The first question today is by Sudhir Rai. He asks, as I understand in Advaita Vedanta, by nature, Jivatman is the same as Brahman. At death, does a fully realized Jivatman retain its separate identity, or does it just merge into Brahman and disappear forever?
Deep question. What I've noticed is the questions are becoming more and more difficult over the years. Yeah, that's good. It's good to wrestle with such questions. Before getting into the philosophical intricacies of this question, let me give the real answer, which comes from Sri Ramakrishna. He gives a beautiful and simple, pointed example. He would ask people who came to him, he would ask them, spiritual seekers, do you want to be sugar or do you want to taste sugar? Very interesting question. And that's the answer to this question. That question is the answer to this question. Do you want to be sugar or do you want to taste sugar? Both are fine. But it's the attitude of the spiritual seeker. One wants to realize one's infinite nature as existence, consciousness, bliss. And one is that already. And one remains as that. So that is the Advaitic enlightenment and freedom. While retaining this body, and at the end of this, the natural lifespan of this body, one continues as this limitless being. So here itself we have an answer. Does the Jivatman merge with Brahman? Does it lose its individuality? Well, when you use the term, the questioner used the term, the fully enlightened Jivatman. But the fully enlightened Jivatman, as you said, is Brahman already. What does full enlightenment mean? The realization that I am Brahman. So there is no particular desire to hold on to a separate identity anymore. When one knows that I am the limitless, that separate identity too is also already included within this the great identity of Brahman. Every wave is part of the ocean. So yes, one realizes that I am limitless existence, consciousness, bliss, remains as that even when the body is there. And when the body goes at the death of this body, it makes no difference to the enlightened one. The enlightened one does not think of himself or herself as an enlightened one. See, we cannot talk about it without reference to the body. See, himself, herself. The enlightened one thinks of themselves as Brahman, as existence, consciousness, bliss. And the retaining the body, living, dying, these are inconsequential from their perspective. But from our perspective, yes, there is an enlightened one. There is one who is living and free, Jivan Mukta. There is one who was living and free, a great master who passed away, and now we use the term Videha Mukta, the bodiless liberation. These are from our perspective. Free while living and bodiless freedom. Free while living means as long as the body is there, still you know you are Brahman, so you are free. And when the body goes, to you it makes little or no difference. You know you continue as Brahman. From our perspective, we will call you Jivan Mukta, and at the end of the body, we will call you Videha Mukta. What should be our goal? I remember one monk in the Himalayas asking his teacher, a great Vedanta teacher, sometime early in this 20th century. I'll tell you what the question and answer was in Hindi and then translate. The question was, Lakshya kya hai? Kaun si behtar hai? Which is better? Jivan Mukti or Videha Mukti? Which is better? Living while free while living, or freedom after death? So which should we aim for? The answer was shocking, especially for a Vedanta student. The master said, Dono hi amangal hai, dono ko tyag kar de. Both are inauspicious, neither is good. Let go of both. After enlightenment, from your perspective, we let go of both. Those are constructs which are helping us forward in our spiritual journey. But if you are enlightened, it makes no difference to you. It's a body-based question. It is immaterial. But from our perspective, it is very much germane. It's very, very much relevant. Yes, we want enlightenment and freedom in this life, in this body. And yes, after the death of this body, we want eternal freedom. From our perspective, it's fine. Now remains the question, will the individuality be retained From an enlightened Advaitic perspective, individuality is already lost from their perspective. We said, okay, from our perspective, will the enlightened one retain individuality? That is a more complicated question. There, whether you want to become sugar or taste sugar. The devotee wants to taste God. Retain just this much of identity of freedom, of individuality, so that I can remain as a lover of God. Lord exists, I love the Lord, and I remain as this one who loves God. The jnani, the one on the path of knowledge, does not even want that. I want to be infinite. This idea that the individuality is lost, as if somehow diminished, something has been lost. Nothing is lost. From an enlightened person's perspective, it has been gained. You lose the cage. You attain limitless freedom. What's the problem? But it might be the constitution of the individual seeker. Some might say that I don't want your limitless existence consciousness place. For me, sufficient is my beloved mother Ma Kali. For me, sufficient my goal is my beloved Krishna. That's my goal. The God of love, not the philosopher's God of limitless being. Sounds very dry and abstract. Both are possible. Both are possible. In the dualistic schools of Vedanta, you will have conceptions such as Vrindavan, Goloka, Vaikuntha, transcendental realms of perfection, where the devotee, the lover of God, retains his or her individuality, maybe a greatly expanded and transformed individuality, a veritable saint, but lives forever in the glorious presence, the loving presence of God. That has been the idea of freedom in many world religions, including many Indian schools of Vedanta also, but not non-dual Vedanta. So both are possible. One monk approached Swami Shivananda, who was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna and the second president of our order, and asked this question in a very personal way. He asked, so we are all devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, we all study Vedanta and practice Vedanta. What will happen to us after death? Both monks and devotees. He's asking the question to Swami Shivananda, who was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. After death, will I remain as this limitless Brahman? This question which he's asking. Or will we all go to Ramakrishna Loka, the transcendental realm where Sri Ramakrishna exists, and live in the divine presence of Sri Ramakrishna forever? Taste sugar. Will we become sugar or taste sugar? What was the answer? In Bengali, Swami Shivananda ji, Mahapurush Maharaji said, Jamon bhav temni labh. As your spiritual attitude is, that will be the result, that will be your gain. Literally, as is your attitude, so is your gain. So is your attainment. That's better. As your attitude, so your attainment. Now, if you have practiced in the way of Advaita Vedanta, I am limitless consciousness. That's what will be there. You will realize it now. What difference will it make if the body goes? Or if you have practiced a devotion to a personal God, in the form of Rama or Krishna, Sri Ramakrishna, Jesus, in some form, incarnation of God or God, personal God, then you will retain a difference, and you will attain your heart's desire to live in the limitless, radiant, loving presence of God. Both are possible. And Swami Shivananda's answer was, as is your attitude, so is your attainment. And then he added something very valuable. He said, but you know, my boy, if you listen to me, these are important, flag. It's best to leave it to Thakur, he said. He said, leave it to God. Because at the end of the day, if you seriously think about it, you realize we seriously don't know anything about these things. There is a great and loving power. Let us do our spiritual practices, taking up any one attitude, pursue it. You never know what's lying at the end of the road. I have seen people, this is my own experience, I've seen people who have pursued the path of personal devotion to God, personal devotion, and have attained impersonal knowledge as limitless existence, consciousness, bliss. I know of advanced spiritual seekers, great saintly persons, who were intensely non-dualistic, and ended up being intensely devotional in a very dualistic sense. Yeah. Among Sri Ramakrishna's own disciples, there was Swami Premananda. His very name, love, prema. And he was supposed to be born of an amsha, that is a part or a particle of Radha. This is all part of the Vaishnava theology. And yet, in his, Sri Ramakrishna said, you will attain jnana, knowledge. Now, what sense do you make of this? About Vivekananda, the great teacher, the great philosopher, the great paragon of Vedanta, he says, I am knowledge on the outside. Inside my heart is as soft. He says, it's a woman's heart. I'm jnana on the outside and bhakti on the inside. Vivekananda says. And then he says about Sri Ramakrishna, whom we know as the great devotee of Kali, as a child of Kali. He says, that old man, he called him old man. He died at 50, by the way. The old man, he was bhakti on the outside. Inside, he was all jnana. So that is the answer. One more question.
Arunavagiri asks, I'm writing to seek your guidance on a matter that has been causing me some confusion. It pertains to a quotation from Swami Vivekananda's Chicago speech, which appears to me to be in opposition to the teachings of the Nasadiya Sukta from Rig Veda. In his Chicago speech, Swami Vivekananda provides his explanation and states that there never was a time when there was no creation. Whereas, as per Nasadiya Sukta, there was neither non-existence or existence, neither the realm of space nor the sky which is beyond. I am unable to reconcile with these two perspectives and would greatly appreciate your insights to help clarify this apparent contradiction. Thank you.
The Nasadiya Sukta, it takes its name from its beginning word, the initial words. It's in the Rig Veda. It's one of the most ancient hymns found in world literature. It's part of the Vedas. Very grand idea. It starts with Nasadasid, Nasadasid. That's where the name Nasadiya comes. Neither there was existence nor non-existence. What existed then? What moved in the darkness? So what vibrated without motion in the deep, dark, where gloom piled on gloom? What moved there? It's talking about creation. How does this universe emerge? Now, if you read carefully, what it means is, from a Vedantic perspective, what it means is, Sat and Asat, it should be translated as manifest and unmanifest. Literally, it means existing and non-existent. There was neither existence there nor non-existence. It is like this. In the seed, is the tree there or not? Some will say, no, it's a seed. Some will say, no, it's there, but in a potential form. Of course, all the DNA is there. And when it gets its chance, it will manifest itself. It will grow as a tree. So the ancient Indian philosophers came up with different theories of causation. One theory was the manifestation theory, that in a potential form, an entity exists, and creation is the manifestation from the unmanifest to the manifest, from the potential to actuality. That's creation. So, this is called in ancient India the Satkaryavada. Satkaryavada. Satkaryavada means the pre-existence of the effect in the cause in a potential form. Cause and effect. There is a tree. The tree pre-exists. It's a bit like your pre-boarding in the airlines. So it pre-exists. Where? In its cause. What is its cause? In the seed. But does a tree exist in the seed? Yes, in a potential, unmanifest form. And what is creation in that case? Creation in that case is the movement of that unmanifest tree, the potential tree, into an actual tree, into a manifest tree. That's all. Then what is destruction? Destruction is the manifest going back to the unmanifest. The tree falling apart and going back to the soil and leaving behind a seed, which will again manifest in future. So this is the Hindu idea of creation, existence and destruction. From the cause to the effect. From the unmanifest to the manifest is creation. From the manifest to the unmanifest is destruction. In one sense, therefore, creation is never really gone. That entity is never really gone. Sometimes it's there. In which form? When do we say what we say it's existing? The tree is existing. Then it means it's transactional. What does transactional mean? You can give it, it has a form. You can see it. You can see it. All our sense organs can operate upon it. It's visible. You can touch it. You can interact with it. Then it has utility. It will give you fruits and flowers and stuff like that. And you can give it a name, tree. Language will operate on it. Linguistically, practically, and epistemologically. It's there. You can see it. So that's called creation. But when it's not there in that form, it's there only in the potential form. You can't call a seed a tree. You can't use that language. You can't use that word, tree. Nor can you see the tree. Nor will it give you flowers and fruits. But you can't say it is utterly non-existent. So from the Hindu idea was, nothing comes out of nothing. Everything comes out of something. There is always existence. And from that existence manifests, the cause goes from cause to effect, effect back to cause. And so cycles. This is a cyclic idea of existence, creation, preservation and destruction. Now you understand in what sense Vivekananda said creation is always there. Vivekananda would say, even when the tree is not there, as long as the seed is there, the tree is still there in a certain potential sense. When the universe is not there, the term in Sanskrit is pralaya or mahapralaya, the cosmic dissolution. At that time also the universe is there. The seeds of the universe are there. In potential form, in causal form, in the unmanifest form, the universe is still there. Not that you can see it, not that anybody is around to see it when the universe is not there. Not that you can interact, not that any of the laws of physics will hold there, nothing. And yet you can't say that it's not there. I was reading in a popular book on cosmology, the idea of what was there before the Big Bang, and they talk about a quantum state out of which extraordinarily esoteric tiny particles pop in and out of existence for incredibly short periods of time. So somebody wrote that, see, this means the universe came out of nothing. But that's not true. A quantum state is not nothing. It's not absolute nothing. Something has manifested for something. I'm saying this with all courage because we have a leading scientist present from the Institute of Advanced Studies, Princeton here. Yeah, but he's the inspiration for me to say this stuff. Yeah, so something comes out of something. It's not out of utter nothing. Sri Ramakrishna used a beautiful analogy, a parable of the grandmother, the granny, in a little vegetable patch. After the crop is gone, she goes out and collects the seeds. And she puts the seeds in little bundles of cloth, different plants, different vegetables, different trees, seeds in different bundles. And when the time comes, she will take it out and plant it again. And you will see a new crop coming out. Here the granny stands for God. And the seeds stand for the universe. So when the universe is gone, the crop is over. It's not gone really. The seeds are left behind. And she picks them up and keeps them. When the time comes, she scatters them into the universe. Quantum state again. So again, God as mother. God as grandmother. All right. Who would like to ask a question? Please, gentleman here. Yes, please come. And somebody, a lady at the back raised a hand. You're there and... Yeah, we'll come to them. We'll come to you first. Then. Yes. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Namaste Swamiji. My name is Shivanand. I've been your YouTube Eklavya student for quite some time now, so thank you for all your teachings. I understand that from a Paramarthika standpoint, there is no bondage and there is no liberation. The ever-revealed self-luminous and non-dual Brahman alone is, right? Brahman and Avidya are used at the Vyavaharika level. to explain the appearance of bondage. And ignorance itself is defined as anadi and anirvachaniya. But this formulation gives rise to a subtle tension that's hard to resolve from within the model itself. I've heard you talk about the Bhamati and Vivarana and Vratika schools to explain the locus of ignorance, and asking why ad infinitum leads to the why Maya question, which is itself nonsensical. So in addressing this question, I've heard you quote, Agyan ko siddh mat kijiye, Agyan ko kaatiye several times. But since Advaita lays primacy in the first person experience and reasoning, how can I use that to not possibly resolve this logical contradiction that I see, but rather dissolve the paradox? Or is the final inward turn an intuitive leap of faith that goes beyond reasoning?
Okay, as you can see, he's well up on his Vedanta. Yes, this is one of these final questions you have when you're studying the philosophy of Vedanta, when you're looking at it at the Vedanta worldview. It will come to this. The nature of ignorance. So if Advaita Vedanta, this is the hinge on which everything turns. Any question you ask about Advaita Vedanta, is the world real or false? Does the world exist or not? Am I in bondage or am I liberated? Am I Brahman or not? All these questions, the answer will always be Jnana Ajnana, but in knowledge and ignorance. The difference is in knowledge and ignorance. Difference is not out there. You are actually Brahman, but only in knowledge that is revealed. In ignorance, the world is revealed. Now, your precise question was that I often quote a sadhu. It's not just one sadhu, it's a saying in the Himalayas about this question. They will say in Hindi, Agyan ko siddha mat kijiye Mahatma ji, Agyan ko kaatiye. Don't try to establish ignorance, cut down ignorance. That's the goal of Advaita Vedanta. What is this establishing ignorance? There's a huge amount of philosophy on ignorance. Since Advaita Vedanta lays so much emphasis on ignorance, is because of ignorance the samsara is there. Because we have ignorance, then we must generate knowledge, because knowledge is the antidote to ignorance and all of this. Then the question arises, what is this ignorance you're talking about? What is its nature? Where did it come from? Where does it exist? What's the locus? Is it in Brahman? Is it in the individual being? What's it made of? All of these questions. And the answer to that is, you can do some philosophy to the extent that you like, and as Americans say, knock yourself out. However, it will not help you. Why not? Agyan ko siddha karna, that means to establish agyana or ignorance. It means to determine its precise nature. What exactly is ignorance? What are its limits? What is its cause? What are its precedents and antecedents? You will never be able to do that, for the precise reason that it's not a reality. It will always be paradoxical. So, there was a seminar in the New School a few years ago on the unknown and on ignorance. And one lady, a professor from England, she was saying that there's a Rutledge encyclopedia of ignorance coming. The more you read it, the more ignorant you will become. Yeah, it's a whole huge book. Books and books are going to be written on lots of writing on ignorance. And I told her, do you know that there is a huge tradition, ancient Indian tradition of dialectics of ignorance? What exactly is ignorance? What exactly is non-knowing, ignorance? So, great deal of intellectual discussion on stupidity. Ignorance is stupidity, basically. The practical advice from a spiritual seeker's point of view is to cut it down. To remove ignorance, because there is no solution. You will never get a clear, satisfactory, complete theory of ignorance. The reason being, it's ignorance. You will never. It is bound to be paradoxical. The more you understand it clearly, the more paradoxical you will end up with paradoxes, and that shows that the theory is true. If you were able to come to a clear-cut explanation, then ignorance would be a real thing. Then you would have two ultimate realities, Brahman and ignorance. If the investigation of ignorance leads to unresolvable paradoxes, you know you're on the right track. The Maikasya Bhushanam Tat, it says, the old Sanskrit saying, this is the glory. Bhushanam means ornaments. This is the ornament of Brahman, whose Maya is like this. You say this is paradoxical, this is not resolvable, then must be a fault in the theory. No. It is meant to be paradoxical. If it was not paradoxical, then duality will be real. Non-duality depends on the cause of duality being paradoxical. Then what do you do with it? You don't try to form a logical explanation of it. You try to remove it by knowledge. How do you do it? Well, that's very good. Good question, easy question. Self-inquiry. There's one thing that ignorance hates above everything else, and that's knowledge. Darkness hates light. Ignorance hates knowledge. To remove ignorance, to cut down ignorance, all you need to do is generate knowledge. How do you generate knowledge? All knowledge is generated by inquiry. And here the knowledge is about ourselves. So the inquiry should be about ourselves. Who is it that is ignorant? You will see very soon this so-called ignorance, it's even thinner than skin deep. It's the faintest of tissues. It remains alive. Its nourishment is avichara, lack of inquiry. It is very powerful as long as you don't look at it directly. It will generate all sorts of fantasies and terrors and dreams, errors, samsara, as long as you don't look at it directly. If you look at it directly, I'm ignorant about myself, but here I am. It begins to dissipate like a morning mist. So self-inquiry, Drigdrishya Viveka, Panchakosha Viveka, Avasthatraya Vichara. Ramana Maharshi's even more stripped down version of go to the essence. Who am I? Who is the one who is making this inquiry? Yeah, that's the answer. One more person, the lady there, please come. Come to. Tell us your name and ask the question.
My name is Anna. I will read. I prepared. I have a question about what to do when you finally tired your wings. I have been interested in the question, what is beyond the universe's shells since my childhood. So happened that I had to change to religions, which was very painful for me. I was feeling like I was cheating God twice. Finally, I found Advaita Vedanta, direct path, pathless path, Sparsha Yoga, Mandukya, and whatever we call it. My spiritual life was quite painful, and even though I was a great believer and worshipper, but I ended up that I believe nothing anymore. There is no free will, no God, there is no problem of evil, existence, non-existence. There is no possibility of self-realization for ego. Ego will never be self-realized. Even so, I logically do not believe in all this religious stuff anymore. I am not an agnostic, because my inner self is calling me still. I mean, I do not believe in God, but I know only that I amness cannot be denied. So, I have tired my wings, and I do not believe in any sadhana anymore. Any ideas what to do now?
The answer is there in your question, the last part of it. When you say, I do not believe in any God or any sadhana anymore, any ideas what to do? That means you do believe in sadhana and God or whatever, something is there. Because otherwise, if we are really, the wings are tired and we are at peace, we wouldn't ask. A good check is my suffering ended? Am I at effortless and limitless peace? And if I say no, are all my questions resolved? Is my struggle in life over? No. Then the path is still there. Nothing is wasted. When you say, I struggle, I do not know your personal history of which religions you have gone through. All the great religious traditions of the world have the core of truth in them, especially in their mystical part of it, no matter what language they put them in. And nothing is wasted. If you have sincerely followed those paths for some time, you said you let go of something twice. And yet they have left behind their sediment of truth in you. It's there. Those are not lost. You can look back upon the practices, upon the convictions which were helpful to you at one time. You may not strongly hold on to it or be over enthusiastic about it right now, but they're still useful for you. Now, Advaita itself, of course, I'm a little biased towards Advaita Vedanta. I've heard this again and again, like what Anna just said. That I have finally come to Mandukya, Ashtavakra. I consider it a kind of finishing school, like a Swiss finishing school. A finishing school for spiritual seekers. You don't have to come here, which gives a nice finish if you do come here. My advice to you will be what Vivekananda said once. Listen to all this. Let it wash through you. It will go like it is gone, but it will leave behind a sediment of truth inside you. Each one of those paths you're talking about, I mean, I know about Advaita, I don't know about the other ones you mentioned. They have answers to this question. What can I do now? What is there remaining? In Advaita Vedanta, if you ask this question, they will say, go back to listening again. The first sign of a spiritual breakthrough for a spiritual seeker is the seeking will stop. Not because I don't believe in it, I don't understand it, I don't think there's anything there. Rather, because you have found it, you are no longer a spiritual seeker. How long will you be seekers? Be spiritual finders. I have found it. My advice to you would be to relax, let it go, get on with life. You will see you will not be able to, because you are a serious spiritual seeker. That's why it will haunt you if you don't find the answers. Then look back upon what you have done. We know enough. We have studied enough, looked enough, practiced enough, so we know enough. We know where the answers lie. Take a look again in a very relaxed way. Whether it's a devotional practice, whether it is a philosophical inquiry, whether it is a meditative practice. Swami Vivekananda said the fourfold combination of the four yogas: inquiry, meditation, love and devotion, and service. And all of them together, that makes for a harmonious life. Which I don't believe in it. No, you do. You're just saying it. Go ahead and do it. You will find benefit from all of them, at least from one of them. Some of them will become very real for you. Just go ahead and do something for others without asking for anything. You will find peace. Go ahead and sit and meditate in the practice which you have done for months and years. Quietly, without expecting anything. You will find peace. Love God with abandon, without asking for anything in return. You will immediately find peace and happiness. All of the paths are open. They are all waiting. Do it in a relaxed way, and nothing has been lost. All that you have done till now, they have left behind a sediment of truth in you. All right. The lady here, yes, please come. Yes, I'll come to you. Please tell us your name and ask the question.
Swamiji, I am Bratati from Uttarkashi.
Yes.
Actually, I am listening to your talks for a long time.
Oh, you live in Uttarkashi?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And we stay at the Kailash Ashram.
Oh.
And
stay at the Kailash Ashram?
Yes.
How is that possible?
We stay there for 6 months, or
all right,
and then we come back to Calcutta. Then again go there. That's I think that is my place.
All right.
So actually, my question is, I am attending so many classes and your lectures also. So sometimes I feel that that veil of ignorance is getting lifted, but again it envelops me, and I feel disturbed by if my son says something or some neighbor does something bad. So how to get even? How to get rid of these fluctuations of this frustration and elation?
Yes. It's a good question. The way you put it at the end, how to get rid of this ups and downs of frustrations and elations. Yeah. Sri Ramakrishna gave a beautiful example. Pukur, pond in Bengal. And there's something called pana, which is a kind of algae, green algae, hyacinth, which covers the surface of the pond or the lake, and you can't see the water beneath. And so he says that, and it's something that you see quite commonly in the ponds in Bengal, in the lakes and ponds in Bengal. And he says that it covers as if there's no water there, but you just put your hand there and push it aside and you'll see the sparkling clear water beneath. And he says, let go, it'll come, his words, it'll come dancing back and cover the surface of the lake, of the pond again. This is exactly what you're talking about. It's a very deep metaphor. It's a very deep metaphor. The hyacinth on the lake surface, or these, sometimes it's translated as the scum on the surface of the lake, or the algae. What we are, this consciousness to which the whole universe is revealed, in which this whole universe is revealed. Vivekananda calls it the open secret. But two words, open and secret. Open because it's continuously available to us. It is that consciousness which enables us to see, hear, walk, talk, do everything in life, and come to this Vedanta talk and listen. All of it is made possible because you are conscious. These are experiences. Every experience is lit up by consciousness, is made possible by consciousness. What's an experience? Consciousness plus some object is an experience. C plus O is equal to E. It's not quite Einstein, but anyway. It's very fundamental. Consciousness plus object is equal to experience. So in every experience, that consciousness is evident. It's always there. It cannot not be there. That's why it's open. Also, it's effortless. It's not, what in technical terms, not mediated. See, even to see you, I have to open my eyes. My eyes have to work. The light has to be there. The object, you have to be there. All of these have to work. And my mind has to be attentive. Then only I will have the experience of seeing you. But, or hearing. And even more, of reading, of learning science. So every kind of knowledge is mediated. It requires mind and senses and a world, certain conditions in the world outside. But consciousness itself, it's available directly without any other instrument. It's available effortlessly. Every other knowledge requires a little bit of an action, some effort, somewhere. At least a mental effort. But this is effortless. This is choiceless. You cannot not be conscious. So consciousness is constantly available, effortlessly available, without any instrument. That's why in Sanskrit this is called aparoksha. Not mediated by any instrument. So that's why Vivekananda says open. But why secret? If it's so open, why is it secret? It's secret because of that water hyacinth. It's because of our fascination. We, the consciousness, our fascination with the object. The C is fascinated by the O, which leads to experience. So the C, the consciousness, you, we are fascinated with our experiences. Fascination includes enjoyment, suffering, curiosity, all of that. So our attention is continuously directed out at the object, at our resultant experiences, and never inward looking at what I am, who I am, what I am. That's all that is covering this secret. That is all that is covering this open secret. That's the secret part of it. As Sri Ramakrishna says, it comes dancing back. And it causes elation and frustration. When it causes elation, I chase that. I want it more and more and more. When it causes frustration, I become upset and I want to resolve that frustration. In both cases, I remain engaged with the object. I don't look back. And that's not our fault. That's how we have been designed. The eyes are designed to see something outside. They're not designed to see pure consciousness.
Swamiji, how to break that pattern?
Yeah, I'm building up to it. She is in a hurry. Enlightenment, quick. She says, I've been at it for years and years. Now tell me, how do I break that pattern? All right. So we have to find out what is that pattern. Why? First of all, what you're looking for, what you're searching for, it's openly present. That's the thing. It's open. It's very close. It's not very far away at all. The pure consciousness, tad antike, tadu antike, Ishopanishad says, it's closer than the closest to you. So it's close to you, it's directly available to you, it's instantaneously available to you, it's openly and effortlessly available to you, it's choicelessly available to you. Yet it is hidden, often hidden. First of all, by ignorance. Most people don't know about it, so it's hidden for them. But even when you know about it, if you read about it, think about it, understand it to some extent also, even then it's mostly hidden. Why? This is your question. How do you break out of that? It's hidden because of our fascination with the object. Even after knowledge, even after studying Vedanta for years, still the fascination with the object, fascination with this experience, that experience, both elation and with frustration. We're fascinated with frustration also because we can't let go. We can't let go pleasurable things. We can't let go painful things. They capture our attention. Even the desire to push away painful things has already caught you. So, to free ourselves from that, now you realize why Viveka, Vairagya, these things are said to be the entry conditions for Vedanta. If you enter Vedanta with intense Vairagya, dispassion, you will see when the understanding dawns upon us, we can dispel this fascination, the spell of the object. We can dispel it very easily because Vairagya means dispassion for the object. If fascination comes, if pleasure comes, if elation comes, our answer is, I don't care. I don't want it. I'm not interested. If frustration comes, anger comes, failure comes, I'll say, I don't want it, I don't care. Tell the mind, oh mind, whatever you can think of, good, bad, ugly, whatever you can think of, I'm not interested. I don't want it. The mind will say, oh, I'll think of Vedanta, I'll think of Brahman. No, I don't want it. You must firmly say, it's a very pushy salesman, the mind. They say there's a salesman in the wild west here. A salesman was caught and said he was snake oil salesman, they used to call them. Give one medicine which will cure all diseases. He was caught and the charges against him were selling imaginary cures for real diseases and real cures for imaginary diseases. That's what the mind does. So he said, no, I don't want anything. And there is something that I want, enlightenment, being centered in my real nature. That, oh mind, you cannot give. Now, I'm already giving you the answer to your question. How do you dispel that dancing back again? Remember, ask yourself, this question, this problem, it's a pattern, it's coming back again, and I get swept away by the world. I understand I'm pure consciousness, but this understanding itself gets covered over, it gets swept away. It's very weak in face of the problems and distractions of the world. Now my question is, whose question is that? Is that the question of pure consciousness or of the mind? Of the mind. But what was your understanding? I am pure consciousness. Yes. Who is objecting to who is setting up the problem and looking for a solution? The mind. Even when you are getting frustrated with say, son says something, or you're elated with, it's great, time to go back to Uttarkashi again, that time of the year has come, all very nice. Both of these are experiences revealed to you, the consciousness. Both of these reveal you as the underlying consciousness, that limitless pure consciousness. This is the deep answer to your question. That even in the midst of the so-called frustration and elation, you are exactly the same as you were when you fully realized, I am limitless awareness, I am Brahman. Right now also. As much as the senior-most monks in Kailash Ashram, as they are pure consciousness, so you are. Right now, no matter what your mind says. The more you give this thunderbolt reply to the mind will shrink away. So this is the first level reply. And the second level reply is practice. Is devote daily some time. Since you know enough now, and you have studied Vedanta at the source, and you get to stay in Uttarkashi, Kailash Ashram and all that. So, spend enough time every day. Return to that original source. This you will not find in the books. There's a story among the monks. Same question which you are asking. Their answer. There's a story among the monks who live in the forests in the Himalayas. So, mongoose, it fights against snakes. There are YouTube videos also you can see. Mongoose. I've actually seen also once mongoose fighting. It's almost like it plays with the snake. Now, the story. This is the parable. I don't know how actually biologically true it is, but it's a parable among the monks. They say that the snake sometimes does manage to bite the mongoose and inject its venom into the mongoose. Now what the mongoose does is, it runs away into the forest and it knows there is a particular herb or a shrub which it chews on, and the poison goes down. Then it comes back again and fights or plays with the snake. He says the Vedantin must be like that. Your day and night, as long as the body is there, you're playing with Maya. And so it will inject. And you must go back and chew on Panchadashi, Aparoksha Anubhuti, Aham Brahmasmi. Spend some time away from the snake, morning and evening. Yes. Then come back and play with joy. You must come back also. Your Vedanta must be tested. And there is a saying that in spiritual life you not only must go away, you must come back also. Thank you. So remember, 2 layers of answer. One is mind. Second is practice. The lady there, yeah, please come. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Namaste, Swamiji. I'm originally from the UK, but I'm visiting, and my daughter Nikki who's come. She couldn't have given me a better Mother's Day gift than bringing me here, and I'm very grateful.
I think
and
that
I've been
needs
And I've been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. I've been listening to your talks. And I just wanted to say one more thing. My sister went through a very hard time last year, and she told me that it was your lectures that helped her through the whole process. I have a 2-part question that I wanted to ask you. I've been waiting for a long time to ask you this. On a and I want your guidance about this. On a theoretical level, I get it, but on a practical level, I find it very hard to understand why there is so much inequity in terms of what it is for people's lives, because I'm a teacher and I find some students from a very young age are disadvantaged in many respects and some aren't. So that bothers me a lot, and when I see that, how do I on a practical level deal with that? Of course I can't help everybody, but it causes a lot of anguish to me.
Yes, the answer is, this is the first part of the question. Answer is seva. This question, when it is asked to me, this is a old question in religion called the question of the problem of evil. If God exists, if all this spirituality is true, why is there so much evil and suffering in this world? There's no doubt about it. You can't deny that there is evil and suffering in this world. Why does it exist? So this question. And the answer to that, I always say, there are many theories. I can give you 23 or 24, literally, answers to that. But they will not satisfy you. The real answer to that, I always say, is, on my table it's there, the annual report of the Ramakrishna Math and Mission, which tells you how many schools are there, hospitals are there, relief activities, clinics, and rural youth empowerment centers, and so on and so forth. A wide range of service. Not just our order. I'm saying that's the answer. That service as a philosophy of life. The attitude, what can I do for you? Not only what can I get from you? Reverse that, what can I do for you? I remember as novice monks, this was 30 years ago, in our ashram in Deoghar. I was a newcomer. The then vice president, who later became the president of the order, Swami Gahananandaji, he visited the ashram, and we were not little exactly, we were young brahmacharis. We had just become monks, maybe just 3 or 4 months, 1 month, in my case 1 or 2 months. And he gathered us together, the newcomers, one night, and he asked us, why have you become monks? What do you want? What is the purpose? And so we all gave different answers. Some said, I want to realize God. Some said, I want peace. Some said, I want to lead a noble and pure life. I want, so all like this. And he said, all of you want something. Nobody has come to give anything. You all want, you don't want to, you want to take something. You don't want to give anything. You want to get something. Everybody saying, I want to get this or that. You haven't come to give anything. He didn't explain. And at that time, I did not like the answer. Because I thought, we are newcomers. What can we give? We have to learn and study and meditate. And yes, over time, maybe we will reach some capacity of giving. But over the years in my life, I have understood he gave us the right answer. He gave us a very deep answer. This attitude from the very beginning, throughout our lives, I don't want, I want to give. Whatever I can, I want to give. Just the whole personality is oriented that way. And that way, he was saying, what all you want peace, you want God realization, enlightenment, you want a pure, a high, noble life, always have this unrelenting attitude, philosophy of life, that I am here to give. You will get all of it and much more. This is what I've understood. So the first response is, what can I do for you? Can you solve it? You can't. You can't. As Vivekananda says, that we come into this world, you serve, we are benefited more than the beneficiaries of our service. Let the receiver stand up and receive. Let the giver kneel down and offer. It's a privilege that we are, for a short time at least, in some way we are enabled to serve, be of use to somebody else. It is this same divinity, it is Brahman itself appearing in front of us as this universe. Vivekananda says, my God the poor, my God the sick, my God he says, my God the wicked. What does it mean? If Vedanta is true, then all these forms, the divinity must be right there. It can't be two different things. A pure God, spirituality separate, and an impure, horrible universe separate. So our response to it should be service, and that service will purify us and lead us to spiritual realization. It will help the world, but the world is ultimately helped by God, not by us. And do whatever you can. The service may take many forms. It can be physical service, it can be material service, financial help, it can be social activism, it can be, you work for the environment, for dispossessed groups, for peace, whichever form, whatever pulls you, wherever God has fitted you in there. You're in education, that's a great place to work. What was the second question?
The second question is, when I was young, I used to have quite a lot of temper and very impatient person. And because of that, I have hurt people's feelings. And now that I'm old, it bothers me every single day. I remember every instance of when I have been unkind. And I want to know how can I make peace with that?
It's all right. Two things. Be careful about not hurting other people's feelings now. Let's be careful now. Since we are aware, we are mature, we are... remember, why you have to be careful is, these tendencies are tendencies. They are patterns. So even when I'm aware of it, I have a tendency to repeat it still, even when I know my problems. But it's a great thing to know my problem. Then I can be careful. It will still take some effort. That's one. Second, mentally, for those I have hurt and created problems for, I genuinely seek their forgiveness and I pray for their welfare. And pray for the forgiveness from God. Actually do it. When you feel bad, go straight to God in the form you worship. There is a power behind all this. And I lay my faults at your feet, my Lord, and may you bless me, give me peace, give peace to those who have been hurt by my actions. Bless me that I do not repeat these things in the future. It'll work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Question.
Asks, my question is about Amani Bhava. The Raja Yogi says, shut the world off, close your eyes, and the mind becomes no mind, and then you become aware of the self. But the Jnana Yogi says, keep your eyes open and with the help of Viveka, see the transient nature of the world. And then the mind becomes a non-grasping mind, that is Amani Bhava. In the path of yoga, Amani Bhava is achieved by shutting off the world, thus leading to enlightenment. But in the path of jnana, Gaudapada says that by knowing the true nature of the self, one attains the status of no mind. In Raja Yoga, no mind leads to enlightenment. But in Jnana Yoga, enlightenment leads to no mind. But how do I go about it? Please advise.
Yes, Amani Bhava is a term used by Gaudapada in the Mandukya Karikas, and it means no mind. Manas, mind. Amani, no mind. Yes, so these are these two approaches. One is the yogic approach, Patanjali yogic approach, Patanjali Yoga, Yoga Sutras you find, to quieten and still the mind. The other one is the Advaitic approach of inquiry into ourselves, into our experience of life. So I remember, I've told this story earlier also, I met this young Nepali monk in the Himalayas in Gangotri. So he was meditating, and very spectacular place, cave, waterfall, and he's sitting there with his dreadlocks, and young man, hardly 20, 21 I think, sitting and meditating, and so photogenic that people from the other side of the river were taking photos of him. And he told me all this himself. He says, I can see the tourists who come, they take my pictures. It's very simple. He says, acha lagta hai, it's good, it feels good. I think its meditation becomes deeper. So I asked him, what are you practicing? And he says, I'm practicing the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali the goal is to attain Samadhi. And I asked him, what about Vedanta? I always feel a little pushed towards Vedanta. Have you studied Vedanta? And he said, yes, I have studied some of the Upanishads and the commentaries of Shankara. And I said, how does that seem to you? Kaisa lagta hai aapko? How does that seem to you? And he said, I'll tell you in Hindi and then translate. बहुत बात करते हैं, अनुभव नहीं है उनके पास. These Vedantins, they talk a lot. They don't have experience. So I want experience. That's why I'm meditating. And then he asked me, you are from the Ramakrishna Mission, which is well known in India. So it's a very big organization, many monks. I said yes. It was a trap actually. I said yes. So there must be many people with Samadhi. Now I can't back off because it's, after all, my organization. So I said, yeah, there are some. And he says, tell me one. I'll go and learn. Tell me one. I told the name of one of our teachers who is very meditative, a spiritually illumined soul, I think. I told his name, and then he said, good, where is he? I'll go and learn from him. I thought, oh no, now if he turns up with his trident and his matted locks, says, I have been recommended by Swami Sarvapriyananda, teach me. And this, what a fix Sarvapriyananda has put me in. Then finally I had to say he's in our headquarters in the main monastery in Belur. Where is that? He asked, Kahan hai? Where is that? I said, they don't understand. They understand Calcutta, but what they understand is Ganga Sagar, where the Ganga, which is right there, which is a narrow, fast Himalayan river there, becomes this vast, broad delta and meets the Bay of Bengal. So I said it's near Ganga Sagar. It's on the bank of the Ganga, near Calcutta, near Ganga Sagar. And then he said, oh, I can't go there. It's too hot. What he meant was he will not leave the Himalayas here. So spirituality, enlightenment is possible only 5,000 feet and above. So that's to be noted. You can't come below that. So that's the yogic attitude. The yogic attitude is that still the mind, and then the truth will be revealed to you. And this is the Yoga Sutras. Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha. The second sutra of the Yoga Sutras. Yoga is the silencing, the stilling of the activities of the mind. Why would you still that? Why would you not think? Why would you stop thinking? Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. The third sutra says, then your real nature, the witness consciousness, remains in its true nature. The example given by Swami Vivekananda is of a clear lake, where the water is pure and there are no waves. The water is still. So you can see straight down to the bottom of the lake. Straight down to the bottom of the lake you can see. Just like that, when the lake of the mind is still, that which is beyond the mind, you are not the mind, you are beyond the mind. This witness consciousness is now seen as it is. So that's the idea of stilling the mind. And for that a long period of practice is necessary. The 8-limbed yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Yama, Niyama, the moral practices, Asana, sit. Yeah, I'm sitting. No, there's a way of sitting. You'd be surprised how much there is to learn about sitting, about breathing. Then pranayama, breath, control of the breath. Then the reversing, the pratyahara is the senses going towards the world. To reverse that, pratyahara means to reverse. Ahara is to take in. So reversing is not to take in from outside but turning inwards. So basically silencing the senses so that we are not constantly in contact with the world outside. Then begins the inner practice of meditation, dharana, focus on some object internally. Then that focus deepens into dhyana, meditation. That meditation further deepens into variety of samadhi. Samadhis are also of various kinds. So those are deep meditative absorptions. And they reveal to you, as Vivekananda says, the truth of the claims of religion. If I have an immortal soul, I should be able to feel it. If God exists, I should be able to see God. And these meditative techniques enable you to see. But they must come through silence and stillness, and not instantly. It takes time. This is one approach. This is the yogic approach. The Vedantic approach is just the opposite. They'll say that, look, you are the witness consciousness anyway. It's not that you are generated as the witness consciousness when the mind is still. When the mind is not still, what are you? The Yoga Sutra says, Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam, then vritti sarupyam itaratra. When the mind is agitated, whatever form the mind takes, you become identified with that. You said elation, frustration. I am frustrated. I am elated. I am mad at you. Not that I am the witness consciousness observing the wave of annoyance in my mind. No, I am annoyed. So I become immediately fixated, absorbed, identified with whatever is going on in the mind. It's instantaneously it happens. Now, Vedanta says that even there, the witness consciousness remains as the witness consciousness, as pure consciousness. The identification itself is a process of the mind. It occludes your nature as witness consciousness and presents you as identified with the movements of the mind. But even then you are not one with the mind. You are the witness of the mind. Your utterly serene, limitless, pure consciousness nature is constantly available even when the mind is moving. So the way to realize this is not to sit quietly in meditation. The way to realize this is to inquire. The problem is not the movements of the mind. The problem is ignorance in the mind. If the problem was restlessness of the mind, then the solution would be stillness of the mind. If the problem is ignorance, not knowing, not realizing in the mind, then the solution is knowledge, not stillness in the mind. And knowledge comes through inquiry. And inquiry means you have to think. All of this is already in the question. So Vedanta says you have to make inquiry, and then you realize what you truly are. Inquiry will lead to knowledge, knowledge will remove ignorance, and realize, whether my mind is in samadhi or whether my mind is restless, in either case, I am that consciousness. See, in samadhi, when I realize mind is completely in samadhi and I remain as pure consciousness, is that revealed by pure consciousness or not? Yes. And when the mind is restless, there are waves in the lake of the mind. Is that revealed by pure consciousness or not? Yes. Has the pure consciousness become impure when the waves come in the mind? No, it has not. So these are the two different paradigms, and that's why two different approaches. If the problem is different, the solution will be different. What's the problem in the yogic path? Restless mind. What's the solution? Stilled mind, meditative mind, samadhi. What's the problem in the Advaitic path? Ignorance. What's the solution? Knowledge. What's the method? Inquiry, which requires you to think. which requires you to come to class and listen and study and think. Okay. Now this is already in the question. This is not the answer. This is the distinction between the two paths which the question pointed out. What do I do then? The distinction is not as great as it seems. Because even in the yogic path, those who have studied yoga, they'll say, you are doing us an injustice, Swami. In yoga also the problem is ignorance. And the meditative process will generate the knowledge, which will remove that ignorance. The meditation generates a knowledge, not just stillness of mind. I am pure consciousness. In inquiry also, I am pure consciousness is revealed. In both places, the problem is actually ultimately the same problem, and the answer is also the same. Just that in the path of yoga, the emphasis is on meditation. In the path of Vedanta, the emphasis is on inquiry, vichara. What do I do? Both. Can they independently lead to enlightenment? Certainly they can, but it's more difficult. Do them together, it's much easier. And actually, what do monks do? Vedantic monks also. Do the Vedantic monks inquire? Yes. Do they meditate? Yes, certainly. They spend hours and hours in meditation. I've seen it myself. In fact, they are highly regarded, the monks who are scholarly and meditative. Jnani or tapasvi. Austere, meditative, scholarly. And those are the ones who are most highly regarded. Not just the ones who have memorized texts and texts. Alright, so both have to be combined. If you are primarily on the path of inquiry, you must have a meditative component in your spiritual path. Yeah, that's the answer. Yes, please come, Sangeeta.
Pranam Maharaj, my name is Sangeeta. It occurs to me that all the philosophy that we've had the privilege of studying here and hearing from you, we owe it to the philosophy of the Dharma texts and the gurus that have walked the path of the Dharma. My question today is in two parts, and the first part derives its context from the Mahabharata, which gave us the Gita. There is a sutra in there which says, Dharma eva hato hanti, dharmo rakshita, rakshati rakshitaha, which means Dharma protects those who protect it. Coming from that, the second part of the question is when Swami Vivekananda...
Now, what was the first question?
The first part of the question is the sutra which says to us categorically that Dharma protects those who protect it. From this, I move to the time when Swami Vivekananda was on his pilgrimage to Kashmir in the Himalayas. And he goes to Srinagar and goes to the temple of Mata Shir Bhavani, also called as Khir Bhavani, wherein he has an extraordinary experience and he has a vision of the mother. But however, when he comes and looks at the temple and its surroundings, he is highly distressed to see that the invaders have desecrated it and kept it in very bad state. And he says to himself that, how did the people allow such a sacrilege to happen? And if I was present, I would have never let it happen. I would have even laid down my life to protect it. Which is when he gets the vision of the mother, as we read, wherein she comes in her glory and tells him, so what if the desecrators should enter my shrine, temple, defile my image, and break what is precious to the dharmic images? What is it to you? Do you protect me or do I protect you? I seek your counsel in how does a spiritual seeker and a Hindu today reconcile both these thoughts and be on the path of protecting the Dharma as well as understanding what Swami Vivekananda said. Thank you.
So that's the wisest answer and most comprehensive answer. The Divine Mother did not say to Vivekananda, what is it to you? Rather, do you protect me or do I protect you? You can never say, what is it to you? If someone comes and destroys your house and ruins your life, you can't say, what is it to you? No, it is something to me. I will protect myself. Yes. So, first of all, Dharma protects those who protect Dharma. What does it mean? It means, first and foremost, to learn, to know and practice that Dharma. It's an intangible. You cannot really protect something unless you practice it in your own life. In our own lives, we must know it first. What is it? At least some part of it, as much as we can. transmit it. Talk to each other about it and transmit it to the next generation. Set up mechanisms and organizations for transmitting that. Protect it also means to write, to teach, to take it forward. New thinking, new books, new positions on it, new ways of practicing it. So keep it like our forefathers kept it alive for thousands of years. They were always innovating, always thinking anew, and it was fresh. So keep it fresh. First and foremost, it's not just spirituality. Dharma is such a wide term. It means culture and civilization. I remember reading this play in which, it was about the First World War, I think, in England, where a soldier is accusing a writer that, see, I am fighting in the front for you. You are avoiding your duty. You're just sitting at home and writing, but I am fighting in the front. And the writer says, if it's a writer, I've forgotten exactly. I think it was something written by George Bernard Shaw, probably. And the writer says that, yes, but what are you fighting for? Why are you fighting? Isn't it to protect our way of life, our values? So that is what I am doing. I am protecting our way of life and values also by studying and writing and teaching. So that is the deeper meaning of Dharma protects those who protect Dharma. We must first protect it in our personal lives, in our family lives, in our community lives, and keep it fresh, ever new, growing, spreading, and welcome others to share the benefits of Dharma. So that's the first part. Dharma protects those who protect themselves. Then Swami Vivekananda's vision. So first of all, remember Swami Vivekananda's life. His whole life was an intense life of protecting and spreading Dharma. And that's why he came to this country. That's why we are all sitting here today. We are all beneficiaries of Vivekananda. This is the center established by him, 1894. Not just us, not just in the Ramakrishna Mission or those who are coming here. Phil Goldberg has traced in his book American Veda how Vedanta and the vast treasury of spirituality from India, which came to the United States through a bridge. Vivekananda was that bridge. So his whole life was an intensity of practicing, protecting, reforming, purifying Dharma and spreading it. And that's the model for us. That's what we must do. At the same time, the final message given by the Divine Mother. Even when you are doing this, you are doing it by my power, she says. And the ultimate result of it is also in my hands. With what will I accomplish what? What I am accomplishing and how I am doing it? It's so mysterious for us. That does not mean, it's the Divine Mother's business to protect Dharma, so I won't do anything. It's her department. And let her do whatever she likes. I'll be happy with my own little life. No, not at all. Just the opposite. We must become instruments in the hands of the Divine Mother if we want to be blessed. And then she will work great things through us. If I make a pretense of I am the one leading, I am the key person, I am the person who's going to do everything, then the results will be very little at the end of it. Everything is being done by her. And wherever she puts me, in whatever occasion, I'll be gladly do, because I'm worshipping the Divine Mother. So, wiping out my sense of agency, but substituting there the cosmic agency, the agency of God. God is there doing all this. That is the very complete message given by Vivekananda. You must see Vivekananda's life in juxtaposition with the vision of the Divine Mother in Kshir Bhavani, not in isolation. If you remove that vision, then Vivekananda is the great person who did everything himself. If you remove Vivekananda and what Divine Mother says, then that's confusing. Then the question arises, so we shouldn't do anything? No, we should, we must. I'll end with something. We have run out of time, but I'll end with a very interesting thing I heard a couple of days back. This was on Friday evening at the Met. William Dalrymple, who is a very well-known writer, written many books, he wrote this book, The Golden Road, How Ancient India Transformed the World. So there he talks about this bridge. He made so many references in various ways. So, for example, he said, everybody talks about the Silk Route. So he showed in the map, the Silk Route is to the north of China through Central Asia to Europe. But he says most people don't know. And he says, notice in the map, it completely ignores India. So Silk Route is there, that is the bridge between Asia and Europe. He says, there was no such thing in the ancient world. I was surprised also, because we all read about the Silk Route. He says the first time this word was used, this term was used, the Silk Route, was in 1877 by a German scholar. He coined the term. One Baron Richthofen. And he said that if that rings bells in your mind, the Red Baron, he said he was the Red Baron's grandfather, who was a scholar. The Red Baron was the pilot in the First World War. He coined the term in German. He said the first English usage of the term Silk Route was in 1936. Before that, now it's all part of our history, and it is there in our history books. Yes, the trade was continued that way, but it was nothing like what was going on between India and Europe. And then he showed us another map. He said the Roman trade between the Roman Empire and Asia. Where are Roman coins found? He showed the map of Eurasia. Of course, the maximum concentration is in Europe, because that's where the Roman Empire was. The next concentration is a few dots you find in the Middle East. Some Roman coins are found in various places. And North Africa, Middle East. Then a huge concentration in South India. There are, he says, the largest collections of Roman coins outside Europe are in Indian museums. Because there was such a vibrant trade between Rome, Greece before Rome, and then Rome, and India. And he says, what about, he goes to China and the Far East, Roman coins, zero. There was no connection. The Romans were not aware of China, the Chinese were not aware of the Romans. But yet for more than 2,000-3,000 years, the Greeks and the Romans and the Indians were very much aware of each other. You find a lot of writing about India in Roman texts. So, and then he says, so what? What is its connection to spirituality? And he says, if you trace the paths of the Buddhist masters who went across Afghanistan, across Iran, across Iraq, in parts of Arabia, up to the Middle East. And he says in one generation, he said there are depiction of Buddhist monks in the Middle East, Buddhist monasteries, up to North Africa. In one generation, exactly the same iconography shows the desert fathers in the desert, the early Christian monks. Almost the same model of monasticism, which these ancient, forgotten Middle Eastern Buddhists had, and the same model you see in the earliest Christian monasteries. It can't be a coincidence. This is the recent stunning discovery of a beautiful face of the Buddha. Where? In Egyptian temples. He showed those things. They are now in museums now. What was the extent of India's influence at that time? Based on what? On the connections of the Roman trade. It spread there. When the Roman Empire collapsed, he shows the maps. These traders, they found slowly Italy and southern Europe, the markets disappeared as it descended into the Dark Ages. The Goths and the Vandals and all, they came and destroyed the Roman Empire. The markets disappeared. Then the Indian traders were thinking, where to go now? And they turned their eye to Southeast Asia. And the huge trade shifted to Indonesia, Cambodia, leading to, say, the biggest Hindu temple in the world, outside, not even in India, Angkor Wat in Cambodia. And he says, in Vietnam, I didn't know these things. The early traders would come in from Tamil Nadu, actually, and settling down there, and their reverence for Ganga, which they would travel in North India for pilgrims, and they would come, and they would say, Ma Ganga, Mekong. I didn't know the Mekong Valley and the Mekong River. Yes, the source is Ganga. They named it. That is the Ganga. It's so thrilling to see. And he showed pictures of the ancient ruins of Hindu temples there, which are now mostly Buddhist temples now. They're all temples of Vishnu. He says in 1920s, Rabindranath Tagore visited. He says, all around me I see India, but I do not recognize it. again on the bridge of trade. And then Vivekananda writes, this is the conclusion. He says, whenever a great power has knit the world together, on the waves of, on those lines of trade and communication, India has raced outwards into the world. The ideas of India has spread across the world. Once again, he says, such a phenomenon is before us, the British Empire. So literally because of that, Vivekananda came here. Once again, India is awakening, and those ancient ideas are spreading across the world. So, and we are literally where we are sitting here today. It's part of that phenomenon. Sister Nivedita says, when Vivekananda stood up to speak at the World Parliament of Religions, very eloquently she describes, she says, before him was the new America, the new civilization with its might and vigor, with its telegraph and steamships, and electricity had been invented. Edison was there, Tesla was there with their pavilions. This was before Vivekananda, the new world, with all its confidence and energy and might. Behind Vivekananda, she says, behind him lay 5,000 years of patient development of spirituality. When he stood up to speak, these two worlds met.
Awesome.
She says, not only the East and the West met at that moment when this young monk stood up to speak at the World Parliament of Religions, but also the past and the future. So Vivekananda was not only looking back to the past, he was looking to the future, to us. That's why he remains relevant to us and to civilizations and centuries. It's a impersonal truth spread out freely across the world. It touches our lives, and it will touch the lives of those thousands who will come in centuries hence. So with that soaring thought, let us do the peace chant. They'll come with the basket. Just wait a little bit. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.